here's what makes rookie camp that I am not privy to, but I understand pretty much what it is. So
yeah, perfect.
I will put that disclaimer in.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, if you are ready, Maria, are you ready?
I am ready.
Don't be nervous. Once we get started, you're not even going to think about it. It's just going to be talking hockey.
Yeah. Let's see. I told friends I'll send you the link if I don't sound like an idiot.
Oh, no. All right. Take it away.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome into another episode of Bruins Tape to Tape. I am your host tonight, Maria from Watertown. Also joining me, as usual, is my ever so reliable co-host, Caroline with a K.
Hey,
Tonight,
Maria.
we're also joined by a very special friend and guest of our pod, Marybeth Scott. Thank you for joining us. Marybeth.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invite.
It's nice to get together with old friends, new friends,
Yeah.
to talk Boston Bruins hockey.
Yes, we're very jealous of Marybeth. I keep wanting to say just MB skis. MB.
A lot of people just call me MB. So.
MB. As a member of our Discord group, she also gets to go to a lot of the fun events, either at TD Garden for games, special events, for practices at Warrior. And we brought her on especially because she got to see some of our quote unquote lousy prospect pool in action. So we're excited to learn from you about what you saw.
Yeah, it's for me that I'm able to do all that. So I'm happy to share that.
We thank you, and we thank you for what will certainly be an education for me in the past, and not really having paid a lot of attention to that aspect of the Boston Bruins organization. So, in addition to that, we're going to talk about the status of Brad Marchand as we await the start of training camp tomorrow, which is Wednesday, September 18th. We'll also talk about some pretty significant big signings that happened recently across the league. And of course, we're going to talk about the signing that hasn't happened yet. But before we dive into our conversation, let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. What's something you'd love to learn? As an adult, do you make time to learn new things as often as you like, or was that lost in childhood? For me, I always have had a want of learning how to ice skate. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/THPN today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/THPN. TD Tutty, taking it to the house. Whatever you call a touchdown, they matter more at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Ready to place your first NFL bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score a touchdown. Ready to do a touchdown dance of your own? Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $250 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 and get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at nfl.com/terms. Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at nfl.com/terms.
Welcome back, everyone. So, Marybeth, here's the deal with me. I need you to give me the, rookie camp, development camp, education for dummies, because that's what I am in this instance.
Aw.
Well, I'll tell you, until this year, I had an idea of what they were, but the stars just kind of aligned with the schedules and my schedule. And so development camp, I went on July 4th because it wasn't a beach day. So I said, you know what? I'll go pop into the barn and go see what they're up to. And that's really how it happened. I'm going to tell you, if people get an opportunity to go to development camp, to go to rookie camp, or even to the practices, I really recommend it. All of this takes place for the Bruins at Warrior Ice out in Brighton. And if you follow the Bruins socials, you'll find the development camp, the rookie camp, and actually training camp schedules. They don't post all the practices during the season, but you can get that on the Warrior Ice website. And they practice frequently, but it's during the day. So it's not easy for people. And it's generally sometimes on the weekends, but also during the week. And it just sort of depends on the home and away schedule for that. Now, one of the things for me when I went to development camp was I got there for the end of it. So the guys were kind of more cohesive. They were comfortable with each other. And that was actually, it was kind of cool to see. I'm guessing particularly the first couple of days, they would have been a little bit more hesitant and I saw a little bit of that more at rookie camp because some of them hadn't been together yet.
Yeah.
Development camp takes place, and this is for all teams, takes place in July. It's about 4 days, and there's on ice and off ice activities.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it somewhere, somebody was calling it like an enhanced hockey school. So they work on stuff that are to be good people in the world, to be good hockey players, but also just some life skills. Again and again, I had seen people they talk about cooking. So apparently there's cooking, and I have no idea if they actually do that or if people just picked up on that. But what it does is it gives the players and the teams a chance to get to know each other. It is people that have been drafted recently within the last couple of years, but it's also people who are invited. And the invitees are usually people that they've watched coming up through the ranks through like juniors. And they're not ready for the NHL yet, but they've got their eye on them and to see, are these guys that we think are going to be developing into NHL players. There's a lot of kids who play junior that's not necessarily what they're going to do. But there's a lot who have that dream. They come into development camp and they're like, wait, this is not at all what I thought it was going to be. Or, boy, now I'm really hungry for this and I'm going to work for it. Right. So that's really what development camp does. For our end, for the spectators, for the fans, this is a really fun time for us to get our eye on a couple of people and to see what they're up to. They do a lot of skills and drills. I went in there and there's all this 1 foot skating and there's let's all jump over this together and stuff like that. And that was let's get on 1 foot and jump over this now.
Oh my God. It sounds like my daughter's Thursday night skills practices. Like, oh my God.
That's exactly what it is. And I was looking at it and I'm laughing. I said, well, I guess they need to make sure they can do this too.
I guess it's all foundations, right?
They're all lined up at one end and they're all sprinting down to the other end or doing whatever they're weaving in and out and doing that stuff.
Now I gotta ask, since it's so much like, well, I guess now it's called 8U, which is what my daughter plays. I need to know at the end, did they either have sharks and minnows or the game where you're partnered up with someone and you've got the sticks in between and you got to skate together to get to the end? Or my
They
personal
did
favorite,
not.
where you got to, you're in different lines and you run and you kind of jump onto this big foam thing and make it slide to the other end? No, none of that?
Not
No?
do
Okay.
I
that's
think they're doing shots of Pink Whitney after this.
Right.
Is done, okay.
Well,
I would have died if they also then had the sharks and minnows at the end. That would have been.
oh, that would have been really fun. I think I'm going to suggest that for next year because I want to see that. Now, when I was there, they did a lot of stick handling, a lot of that kind of stuff. They did some full ice stuff. Then they did half ice.
Mhm.
And one of the things that surprised me is I couldn't necessarily follow who I thought I was going to follow.
Mm.
Nobody had numbers on. They all had their names on the back of the jerseys. So if they weren't turned around, you had no idea who you were looking at. And we don't know their skating style. One of the things at Bruins games is guess the player, and they'll put up a silhouette, and you can also guess the celly. You're like, oh
Right,
yeah,
yes.
there's whoever doing their, but you don't know these guys. You don't know how they move on the ice. So unless you follow them over to there, you have no idea who they are when they turn around. And they're looking towards you. The last thing they did was they did a full ice scrimmage, but the shifts were like this. They literally like skate down and skate off, skate down and skate off. And you're just like, woo, trying to follow and see what they're up to. They were doing 3-on-3s and stuff. It was very cool, but it was fast moving. Some parts not as much. I will say development camp, super hard hitting, really aggressive. And that may have been because I was there on the last day. I'm guessing there wasn't as much of that at the beginning. But when you think about it, it's for showing off. It's to say, hey, pay attention to me, bring me into your system or move me up your system.
Right.
So they're trying to draw attention to themselves. So they're doing what they need to do that.
Is there any type of a rating system you think that is being used to assess the players themselves?
Oh, 100%. So Adam McQuaid is actually the head of, I forget it, head of development, for lack of a better term, but he's the one leading this up. But he has a whole team of coaches. So there's in the center ice, there's people on the side, there's people sitting back on the bench. So they've got a whole bunch of people, and they are pulling guys aside when they're jumping over stuff or weaving. Hey, try this, do this. I noticed this. So they're giving them some at this point by the fourth day gentle coaching. Okay. But they, I'm guessing that they've got a bigger time that they're all sitting. Here's what we're really looking for. Here's what you should be doing, and more of that hollering and that kind of thing. I'll tell you though, they were. I got a really good impression from them. Now Dean Letourneau, of course, like our new guy, our big guy. The one that we're all really fired up about.
Yeah.
He's big. He's a big kid.
I can't wait to see him.
You could tell he was bigger than everyone, but he didn't stand out as much as I was expecting because we've got a bunch of big kids.
Yeah.
So I could look over there and without a question, I'm like, okay, yeah, there he is. So him, I did not need his name.
Yeah. Well, and I have to imagine for him, and I don't know how many of the guys who were at Dev Camp, who also kind of met this criteria of the fact that he's committed NCAA player, so he can't participate in anything. That's why he wasn't at rookie camp, because he's committed to the NCAA, and there are a lot of really strict rules around what athletes can and can't do. I mean, they can't even look at an agent while they're committed. So maybe, I mean, this is just pure speculation on my part, but probably I would assume any of the guys who are NCAA committed were there and they were trying and they were, putting out their best. But, if at the, on the, end of the dev camp, you've got guys who are really trying to do that little extra thing to pay attention, that pressure probably didn't really exist for those NCAA players because they've got their whole season up ahead of them. Like, I'm not going to try and do something crazy to get paid attention to when we can't even communicate once he leaves.
Right. Once I walk away, I'm done.
Once
for
he's
now.
on campus, there can't be any communication whatsoever between the team and him, basically. So I guess that doesn't entirely surprise me, that there were others there who were maybe trying a little bit more to be at least noticed. That makes sense.
Yeah, and the other part is at development camp and even at rookie camp, a lot of them are at different levels.
Yeah.
So we've got 21-year-olds. We've got kids who are getting ready for the AHL. We've got kids who just graduated, like Letourneau, just graduated, going into freshman year. So there's a spread there of who's going to be there. Yeah. Now rookie camp is a little bit different. Rookie camp I just went to last week. And with rookie camp, you can't, as you said, there cannot be any NCAA players there. So if you're playing with the NCAA, that's what you're going to do now. So that does change the tone of who's there. But rookie camp, unlike development camp, which is more hockey camp, this is really set up for the players who are getting ready to come into the NHL, to come into the AHL.
Right? The hope is they're going to make that jump.
Right. It's
exactly. They're not all going to do it. They're not all going to make it, but they are theoretically on track to come into professionals. Whereas some of these other guys, when you're at development camp, they're exploring that possibility, and the teams are exploring the possibilities of them. By the time you get to rookie camp, you're saying we've got a better eye on you. We're really thinking we've got more interest in you. Yeah. So it's more than just a passing fancy at that point.
Yeah.
Now, were there some quote unquote rookies for the Bruins who were not part of this rookie camp roster?
As a matter of fact, there were. So we did not have, well, of course, we didn't have some of the NCAA guys. So that was like Letourneau and stuff. But we also had a couple guys. We have LaSalle, who we saw a little bit from the AHL, but he's a rookie. So he would have been at rookie camp, but he was invited to training camp this week. Now, there are a couple of other guys who were invited to training camp this week that we saw. But like Ryan Bishel he's a goalie. He was at rookie camp, but he also got the invite to training camp. But people like LaSalle, who were invited to go to, and also Merkulov, were not invited to rookie camp because they knew they were going to have a training camp. They wanted to save them. They didn't want them to have an injury. They didn't want them to overdo it at rookie camp. So those two, I am guessing, they've got a really big eye on trying to bring them up.
Right.
To
get them, give them an opportunity to earn a spot.
That's exactly right. The people who are at rookie camp are the ones who are fighting for jobs. They're the ones who are trying to get a job with the Bruins. Yeah. And but again, LaSalle, Merkulov, they didn't go to rookie camp. They were already invited to training camp. Yeah. And again, probably so that they didn't get hurt and so they could really show their stuff at training camp is why they weren't invited to rookie camp. Okay. Now, there are some other guys, though, that we're going to see at training camp this week who were also at rookie camp.
Yeah.
They just put out the roster.
Right.
Yes. I literally saw it break right before we started.
Caroline's waving it on the phone during the
because I think the news came out about 2 hours ago, and what was I doing 2 hours ago? I was making dinner, so I'm like, I'm not paying attention. So I was thrilled to see, because that is the ultimate. Those guys have to be so proud of the work that they put in, because especially if they got to participate in all three, and if you go through rookie camp and then you get that nod again, that means the Bruins saw something special, so they're gonna try, and they're gonna give you an even bigger test, right? They're gonna throw you to the wolves, essentially, to the veterans, and you're gonna play with the big boys. Because the thing is, what I find fascinating about just professional hockey and the game of hockey in general that makes it stand out from literally any other professional sport that we see pretty much anywhere. You know, you don't have first round draft picks automatically going and playing in the NHL at the NHL level. The pathway to get to the NHL itself is very long. It can be very long and it can be really, really difficult. And the sheer difference in the level of play, like the different levels of play, it's unbelievable. Like you would think if you didn't know a ton about the game of hockey that, oh, well, if you're already playing in the NHL or AHL, you must be good. And there's, you know, maybe a technicality of why you're not up there. It's a huge difference even from the AHL to the NHL. And, you know, you watch high school hockey, a good high school hockey team, and you watch a D3 hockey team, then you watch a D1 hockey team, and you can just see the difference. And it's fascinating to me. So those guys have to be so incredibly pleased with themselves that no matter what happens, like, yes, it's awesome that they got invited all three. The odds that they're going to even get to see TD Garden Ice this year is low. And the fact that we got 3 guys last season to actually make it doesn't happen. This does not happen. For any new hockey fans, this is an anomaly to see, especially for a team like the Bruins with the tremendous talent that they have, right? They're not a team in a rebuilding phase where they got plenty of spots for guys. So
right. I'll throw you in there and we'll get that worked out because we just need the body.
Right. Yeah. I mean, these guys are ultimately playing for a spot on the P Bruins, right? Like that's your foot in the door. And that's really what if they can get a spot on the P Bruins, they're going to be in good shape. Definitely.
Yeah, I was surprised by how many of the guys from rookie camp were invited to training camp this week. And I think it's great. Wow. And I'll tell you, the ones that I saw really were standouts.
Yeah.
One of the things you find when you go to dev camp and when you go to rookie camp is you're not sure exactly, as I said, you're not sure who you're looking at because you're not saying, oh, yeah, there's number 11. You know, I'm going to just watch that number 11 go around because you can't tell. So then you're sort of like, well, who is that going that's catching my eye?
Yes.
And that's what I found. It was who was catching my eye. And what I discovered was the people that were catching my eye weren't always the ones I went to look for. You know, where I went in with sort of these notions of, oh, yeah, here's, whoever it is. One of the guys, Farnacci, he was at rookie camp and he just, boom, I saw him everywhere. He keeps his head up. He's got great passing. Well, he was not at the last game of the prospects, which they have their prospect tournament this weekend. He wasn't there, but he is at training camp this week.
Well, they likely rolled him, right.
That's exactly what happened. By the time we had 3 games in the prospect challenge over the weekend, and a couple of the guys weren't there for the 3rd game. And I'm seeing their name on the list for training camp.
Caroline, you were so impressed with the prospects, weren't you?
Oh my God. Okay, look, I try to do my homework. I am so dedicated to the Bruins, to this podcast, to keep everyone informed. But man, sometimes I just got to farm that work out because I tried to watch some of these games. I'm desperate for hockey. You know, I'm like dying out here, waiting for everything to start. And first of all, I mean, don't even get me started on the production value. It was like watching
brutal.
Oh, what's that program called? Live Barn or something, like whatever it is that you can pay and you can watch like your kid's hockey game without having to actually be there. That's what I felt like I was watching. And then I realized, oh, that was just the Bruins. Bruins feed, which tells you just how concerned the Boston Bruins are with that number 32 ranking of their prospects. They're like, we don't even care. We're not even going to have an announcer or tell you what the score is of these games. Yeah, that was brutal.
That was brutal.
My hot take.
The Devils, and they came at the end and specifically said, we went out of our way to do this. We had to lug all the streaming stuff. We had to lug that. They're like, we went out of our way to do this because we wanted to make sure you had a good fan experience.
Yes,
it was. God.
It wasn't because, again, the priorities for literally everyone, fan and company wise, it's like, we're fine. It's fine. My hot take, it was terrible. They were awful. It was so bad. And then, so I did end up tuning into the game against the Devils because folks in the Discord were talking about it because, we do have really good dedicated fans in their group.
And we get some good play-by-play.
Yeah, I was being kept
including
informed,
yourself, Marybeth. Some, good content and good information there.
Yeah. Yeah, so I tuned in. I'm like, all right, what's going on? And I mean, it was like goal, goal, goal. I'm like, again, not seeing how this is different than the 8U I get to watch.
Line, not much different than 8U. They're bigger, but it was kind of the same.
Yeah, keep going. Nice try.
And so, hearing this breakdown of this tournament, so to speak, what is the purpose of it then?
So there's a couple of reasons that they do it. The biggest one is for the team and the players to get to know each other and really for the players to showcase themselves. Prospects Challenge is absolutely a showcase.
Yeah.
And you're looking, and that's one of the things that I had to keep in mind. The score doesn't matter. These guys don't know how to play as a team. And it was interesting because one of the things in our Discord, I was asking someone, I wonder, or I guess I posed the question, we had 8 invites. I'm wondering how many invites the other teams had, or how many of them were already part of their system. They're already part of the system. They've played together. If you're an invite, you've probably never played with
stepping on the sheet of ice for the first time with a random bunch of guys.
Exactly.
So that's 8 is high.
So 8's a lot when you think about how many guys are on the ice at the same time and everything like that.
Yeah, almost half.
So we had, there was a lot of people at rookie camp, but not all of them were even doing that. As I said, some of them even got pulled, some are at training camp. But you're looking at people who have not played hockey together. Some of them have played, juniors or whatever, but I don't know where you're going to be on the ice. I can't pass it to you. So I'm going to do my thing. So you are showcasing yourself. Mm-hmm. You're showing what you can do. You do get a sense of who's got good hockey sense.
Yes.
Who's able to pass to a bunch of people when they don't actually know where they're going to be.
Yeah.
One of the reasons our lines are so good are because we know where that person's going to be. So I can go ahead and pass and trust that somebody's going to pick that up.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that when you haven't played with them. You can, on a wing and a prayer, I'm going to go ahead and shoot this over there and cross my fingers, but somebody may or may not pick up that puck. So it's really a showcase. It's a way for them to get to know who do we want to develop? And who should we just go ahead and let go? And also, where are they in development? You look at Connor Bedard. Connor Bedard, first #1 draft pick. He's playing. He's actually heading up the Blackhawks.
Basically,
that doesn't happen, but we all know about Connor Bedard. That's his thing. Usually, what happens is you're drafted in the first round. You may be finishing out your NCAA. You may be finishing out another year or two with juniors. You may have a couple of seasons with the Providence Bruins. But each player is going to have a slightly different development. And I think development camp, rookie camp, and the Prospects Challenge allows the coaches to see where are they in their development and what does that mean for our relationship with them. How much time are we putting in now How much time are we going to put in later? And are they even someone we want to worry about?
Yeah, exactly. I think, and for whatever reason in my mind, it's kind of, I'm getting the sense that usually they try for about 3 years to really see if there's going to be a there. And
Mhm.
if it really doesn't happen after about 3 seasons, then things start to kind of not work out, right? They start to maybe look at ways to move them. I mean, Jack Studnicka is a really good example of, granted, COVID, and there's a lot of guys whose development got interrupted and messed up, but you don't want to have a player kind of simmering on the back burner for too long, because then it's just never going to work out. And I think I'm really glad, and I'm actually really excited to see some of these non-rookie but newish guys at camp, because I've been hearing their names for so long. I'm really curious to see, okay, what is the real deal about Fabian Lysell or Merkulov, right? Like, these guys, we've seen maybe they've come up a couple of times, or they've been just about to, and people have been talking about them for so long. This is kind of like their moment to try and prove something. And so they're at the, what I would assume is kind of that tail end of that, like it's now or never kind of time. So not that it's stressful or anything.
Right.
Well, it's always fun, I think, when you find or you see that diamond in the rough at training camp, where you say to yourself, wow, where did this come from?
Like
Out
Patra.
of this. Right, Matt Patra.
That was exciting.
Yeah. Just you know, and there's an energy and an enthusiasm that comes along with that. And you find yourself, you know, pulling for this individual or these, you know, individuals, because you want them to make it just by sheer fact that you're watching them work their asses off for the opportunity that's been provided to them.
Yeah.
Well, I think Patra is a great example of of how you develop a player, because he came up pretty young and pretty quick, and he was a hot shot, man. But he also got worn out pretty quick. It's a huge difference, the way that you're playing with those, with the juniors, with the AHL, with all of that is a totally different ball game than playing with the big boys in the NHL. And he did great. But he also, they didn't manage him at the beginning as well, and then they saw it. They started to manage him a little bit better. I mean, and then he had that injury, which I don't think was related, but they were realizing they hadn't managed him quite as well, because he was such a hot ticket coming in, and they took advantage of it, which was fun for us as fans. But it just, the poor guy, he was like,
I know. Ready. That was the first time I ever saw or witnessed almost like reverse load management, right? After having so many veterans on the team for so long, you always hear about at the end of the season, Patrice Bergeron, he's in load management, right? Nope. Oh, there's Manny Patra. He's in load management. We got to bring him back down to the third line. Otherwise, he's going to be cooked, because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, much like NCAA hockey, I think juniors, they only play like maybe at the end of the week.
Well, yeah, they don't play as much back to back. They just don't have the same time on ice.
Yeah, exactly. Like the NCAA, they have 2 games a week. They're back to backs. It's Friday and Saturday night, and that's it, right? And the travel is relatively regional. I mean, I don't know, Pac-10 hockey, like how much travel that is, but if you play Hockey East, ECAC, you're not going terribly far. No,
it's not like going from Boston to Edmonton or even down to Florida. You're not doing that. You're not doing these long road trips.
Right. Yeah.
So there needs to be some. And the fact is, and it's been talked about a lot, Patra, and I've heard he needs to get some weight on him. He needs to build up some muscle.
He's still a baby. Words right out of my mouth. He needed he needed to bulk up a little bit. And I think I was listening to a podcast this week too, where somebody interviewed Connor Bedard, and they said, listen, don't take this the wrong way, but it looks like you've, put a little bit on. I mean, in today's NHL, with the size of the defenseman
My
that
God.
you're going up against, you better have a little muscle in your bag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Connor Bedard, great example. He came in, he had just turned 18.
Yeah.
He'd been 18 for like 2 months when the season started.
Yeah.
He just, just from a body standpoint, he couldn't, if he lifted weights every day, he just wasn't there yet. And because of his age.
Right.
I know.
Right.
Matt Poitras was a tiny little thing.
Same. So who should we be paying attention to this coming week? So we've got, you've seen the list. We'll make sure to include that all in the show notes so you can see, you can compare the different rosters. But from what you've seen, who should we keep an eye on?
I'll tell you, the guys that I really liked, particularly this past week, were Farinacci. He just really jumped out at me. And again, it may just be because he was skating in front of me and I could see his name, but he was fast. He seemed to have some really good hockey sense. So that's why I think he's one to keep an eye on there. Brett Harrison was doing a whole bunch of good stuff. So Brett Harrison, he did end up though, rookie camp going out hurt, but he's obviously fine. So we didn't get to see as much, but I saw some really good skating, some speed from him. So he's one I want to watch. I am interested to see what happens with Trevor Kunter, because he was one that he actually was with Providence, but watching him at rookie camp, like he was a little passive. So I'm interested to see if coming up with the bigger guys, if we're seeing a little bit more aggression from him, if we're just seeing a little bit more from him. So I think that those are ones that really kind of caught my eye from the forwards. Defense wise, I'm really interested in Frederick Brunet. He's been with the Bruins, and I want to see more from him. And I saw him at development camp. I saw him at rookie camp. What I love about him, first guy on, last guy off, every single time.
Yep.
So he's one to really keep an eye on. And then Bavaro's been somebody who's been good. Loke Johansson, really big guy, aggressive guy, fast guy. He's going to be, I have a feeling he's going to be coming up at some point. I think he's going to be one of those guys that we end up seeing. He just seems, and again, small sample size of what I saw at rookie camp, but he really does seem to be somebody I think that we're going to see, even if it's not this year, we're going to see some good things from him.
Yeah.
But he's one of those guys that I really am rooting for him. I really want to see some good stuff because he works really hard. But again, I didn't quite see all I wanted to see from him, but that might also be because he's already been at the AHL and he might just be stepping back and defense. Rookie camp, big on forwards, a lot of forward action, not a lot of defensive action. So that's part of it.
Which is interesting considering the system, very defensive.
Yeah, our defensive structure is something that's been carried forward
for years
from the Providence Bruins or vice versa. They use the same system, which is why they've
on purpose
been good. Right.
Yeah. But I think in these couple of day camps with everybody trying to show their stuff, sitting back and waiting for, and being a defense person, you're not showing off. Hitting the puck, stick handling, that's showing off. We get a lot of opportunities to see our D do a lot in the games and with the Bruins. But I think in these camps, just the way you're doing the drills, you're doing the scrimmages and stuff, it really is so many shots on goal. And that seems to be where now again, it may just be I don't watch, I'm not there for the whole week. And it could just be when I am there and seeing those, but I really want to see, I want to see what he does when he's got a little bit of a bigger stage where the defense is a little bit more emphasized.
Yeah.
Have you
Well, and we need
ladies-
to have more French Canadians.
Yes, we do.
We do. We've got an opening for French Canadians on the big team. So, you know.
have you taken a look at the goaltenders and seen who's
Ah!
not on this
Are we going to
list?
go there?
We're gonna go there.
We're going to go there.
We're going
So,
there. We're going
yes.
there.
The official roster, because it is currently 7:51 on September 17th.
Training Camp Eve, folks.
And the roster for training camp: goaltenders Ryan Bichelle, Brandon Bussey, Michael DiPietro, Jonas Corpusalo, and Nolan Meyer. Meyer.
Ooh.
Who's missing?
Somebody is
Somebody's missing from this list.
Yeah, this is a
I think I say
sad
this
list for
every
those of
week.
us who are Swayman fans.
What
So,
the
okay,
hell?
remember, I'll be the rational one for just a moment.
What
And we can
the
go
hell?
crazy. Nope. Remember, we talked about this last week. Nobody knows anything. Anything you hear out there is probably not true, or it's hearsay, or it's a rumor. I had to literally calm down the grocery store manager. I'm not joking. And I don't even live in Massachusetts. I went with a Bruins t-shirt to the grocery store, and the guy's like, "Oh, nice shirt." He's like, "Are we ever going to sign Swayman?" I'm like, "It'll happen. It'll be fine. It'll be fine." Like, again, Pasta missed camp. Carlo missed camp. Chucky missed camp. It got to have faith, right? But I had a dream last night that he did sign, and so it must come true.
We're going to count on that.
This is a little different for me because, you know, the players that you mentioned, right? Integral part of the Bruins team.
Yes.
But this is a different level of integral where
it's critical.
It's critical. And I don't know about all of you, but I'm not really sure I want to go into the season starting with Jonas Corpusalo, potentially our number one goalie, and presumably Brandon Bussey as the backup goalie if we're still having this conversation by October 8th.
Well, I'll tell you, my concerns with it are I'm sure some sort of deal will get done. I'm sure at some point they're going to figure it out. They just are. But the concerns I have are with Swayman not being in there at training camp right now. A couple of things happen. One is he's not getting ready. He's not in there with them. He's not getting himself ready in the same way that he would if he was playing with them.
Right. And let's clarify that. By not getting ready, you're and not to put words in your mouth, you are likely meaning that he's doing his training on his own in whatever manner, shape, or form that takes.
Right.
But it's vastly different than being on the ice with your peers and teammates. Oh, by the way, when we've heard that they might be introducing a different defensive structure this coming season.
Interesting. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. You need to be practicing with the team. Now, the other piece of that, though, and this goes along with it, is I wonder if this affects the relationship that he has with management and with his teammates. Now, we don't know the conversations that are happening, but that is something.
Maybe management, but I think his teammates, his friends, his peers, most professional athletes seem to have an excellent way of separating the business part of it from, you know, the team part of it.
Yeah.
I would be surprised, in all honesty, if there was any type of a fracture with the players. Maybe with the organization, your working relationship won't be as, you know, copacetic as this working relationship is, or as Brad Marchand's working relationship is with the front office. I don't know. We're
Yeah.
speculating, but I think from the players, I think they're all probably, quietly saying to themselves, let him get his money. We want him to get his money.
Yeah. And you don't know how long it's going to take too, right? Like plenty of, like I said, I named 3 players who did that, right? And they eventually came to an agreement. I worry again about the long-term impact on the relationship between Swayman and the Boston Bruins organization, right? So again, there's already kind of a sensitivity there from last year, which is understandable, right? Like I think we all kind of have been in that position. We've been that age where you take it personally, and it's so easy for us to say, like, it's not personal, it's business, but it's still really shitty to hear, or interpret, right? And I was listening to a recent episode of 32 Thoughts, and Elliot was going on about, again, it's all speculation, but thinking about not just the money, but the term, and considering, okay, you don't want to do something particularly short term because then he could very well walk, right? Or have some kind of bridge deal, or like you don't want to position him to leave the contract, go to UFA, and then have some other team that has a boatload of money who can then throw it at him and he'll take it because he deserves it, right? Like,
Right.
if he had been a number 1 goalie last season and had played 55 games at that level, imagine in a couple of years, he's been doing that. Like, he's definitely going to be worth it, right? So I can understand that. So that makes me nervous about the timing, but the more difficult this is, are we going to still lose him at the end of it because of that contentious relationship? Like, I worry about the long-term impact here. Like, he's going to force them into a corner. It's going to be bad blood. And then in however many years, he's just going to walk. Because, we've seen players do that, right? Where they are there for a really long time and they're like, I'm done. I'm done. You had me as an RFA. You had me in this contract, and as a goalie, it's not like he can very easily be traded. And, the whole situation is just infuriating because it's so nebulous. There is no comparable, right? There is no one out there who is comparable to him, his situation, his position, nothing. And that's what makes, I think, this whole situation that much more just irritating. It's like, there's no answer. Someone has to bend.
Right.
Who's
23 hours ago, Darren Dreger said that it's all positive stuff coming out of both sides. There's no deal done yet, but claiming that there's positivity coming from both sides. So again,
I hope that's true. I think back to when we wanted Pasta to be signed. Was it just last season or 2 seasons? I think it was just last season. It feels like
last
forever
season.
ago.
Right. I think it was just last season.
I don't think anybody really questioned that deal was going to happen.
Right.
And I don't think anybody we were like, let's get it done.
Right.
Let's not keep moving with it. But I don't think there was this big cloud over this of, are they going to come to terms? Are they going to figure it out? I think everybody figured, yep, the Bruins are going to come in. He's going to come in and they're going to figure out and they're going to make this work.
Right.
We would have all liked it to happen a little bit sooner because we were, sweating it out a little. But this feels different. This feels different. And I think because there's no comparables, he can't compare himself to the most elite goaltenders yet.
No.
He's close to it.
He is, like, honest to God, if the man had like 10 more starts, it would be a conversation.
You're there. But he's also not entry level. He's not brand new. So he's his own thing. And I do, he said this out loud. He wants to set the tone. He wants to make sure he's setting that bar. And I applaud him for that. But it's not feeling like the pasta negotiations. It's not feeling like we know it's going to happen for sure. It was for a while, but the longer it goes on, the more I'm feeling like maybe it's not.
And, you know, and the Bruins have never been shy about saying that just because a player sets the market or sets his market value doesn't mean that that's what they're going to hand him.
Right.
And I think it was Cam Neely who said that not too long ago when it came to negotiations for, you know, someone on the Bruins roster, you know, and that's not how they operate, or seemingly. And number two, they've also been accustomed to players, or a lot of their core players, taking team-friendly deals.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe that tide has shifted a bit, and there's definitely a gap that needs to be bridged here. It's just a question of how long is it going to take? And honestly, for me, what, you know, relationships with players aside, what impact is that going to have on Swayman's game?
Right. I mean, yeah, we saw what happened with
this
William
is important.
Nylander.
This is a big year. I mean, they're always big years, but in my mind, you know, I think the Bruins need to make a serious push for the Eastern Conference Finals this year. You know, enough of this, you know, all right, if we make, you know, we win one round, we're good. If we win 2 rounds, we're good. You know, and let's not forget the fact, too, that there's been no discussion yet at all about Jim Montgomery's status with this team this coming season. He's on the last year of his deal as well.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll hear more about him come, well, I guess it's not the All-Star break, the CBA break this year. I think it's going to depend on how the team is looking and how they're doing. And his is going to be very much so, I think, performance-based, like in the moment, right? Because like he had his first year was really good. He's had some up and downs. And so it's just that's all kind of gone into the wash. And they're going to base his next contract, if there is one, I think, on this year. But at the end of the day, you know, going back to Swayman, again, besides having that dream, so I'm just going to say it's prophetic. I'm putting it out there. And that he like signed at some deadline. Like I can't remember if in my dream the deadline was like tonight, or if it was opening day, or if it was December 1st. I don't know what it was, but it was a very high pressure situation.
I can't imagine that he wouldn't want to be the starting goalie for that game on October 8th against the Florida freaking Panthers when they're raising
their banner.
I think, you know, Elliot Friedman said it best, where he's like, you always bet on talent. And at the end of the day, when it comes to Jeremy Swayman, yes, I wish he had 10 more games under his belt last year. But I think you can say without a doubt, after having seen him play for basically 2.5, 2.25 seasons at this point, he's not a flash in the pan. He's not going to all of a sudden be a bad investment or a crummy goalie. Worst case, he's going to be decent. And he's going to be better than Korpisalo. No offense to him, because I'm sure, again, goalie Bob saw something. I trust the process there. But I have gotten to the point, you know, I like probably a lot of fans back and forth in my mind. Whose side am I on here in this case, right? Like who should be? Don, get your head out of your ass. Show us that Jeremy is your priority, and just give the man his money. Give him what he's asking for. Enough. I'm tired of waiting. This is the first time in 2 years that the Bruins are starting the season like actual contenders. Like you said, Maria, this is it. I want to see. I'm tired of messing around. I'm tired of saying, well, let's pleasantly surprise ourselves. No. I want to see them make it to the third round. Do it. Done.
You didn't go out and get Lindholm and Zadorov because you wanted to be a middle of the road team.
Right.
No, this year we're going strong. We're ready this year. Last year we were pleasantly surprised.
2 years in a row, yeah.
Exactly. Well, 2 years, yeah, really 2 years in a row. But this year I feel like we've got the pieces in place. We no longer have Krejci, we no longer have Bergeron, but guess what? We now have filled the gaps.
Yep.
We have brought some people. We have brought some people up. We have brought some people in. I think that we can do it this year. I think our expectations should be high going into the season.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
I agree with you.
He's been so bold the last 2 seasons with the off-season signings, with the trade deadline. What are you doing? Enough. Just sign the man. Give him what he wants. He wants whatever's left in the cap. Give it to him.
Give it to him.
I don't care anymore what it stands. I don't care. I'm done. I'm done with this conversation. I'm tired of talking about it. Give Jeremy Swayman the money and let's move on. Because you know what? I want more. A freaking Stanley Cup.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that should be the goal. That should be the goal.
Yeah.
And, this management team has shown us that is in fact a goal that they want to accomplish. So maybe this is why this is even more head scratching to some of us in terms of and I don't want to say a lack of a priority, but it just seems to me that this should already have been done by now.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm being overly simplistic on it, but stay tuned. And I doubt that this is going to be on the Amazon docuseries, my friend. So I hate to disappoint you.
I want it so bad. It's coming out soon. I think they're announcing the release date within the coming week. Not that it's releasing in the coming week, but I think in the week they're announcing it with, the hype of everyone going to training camp, the Devils are going off to Czechia, all sorts of things are starting to happen. So at least we'll have that. I don't know. We'll see. I can't wait. I'm going to binge watch it.
Well, it should be pretty entertaining, and I'm glad the NHL is finally getting with the times, so to speak.
Sort of.
And doing things of this nature. It's about flipping time. And speaking of time, we are, of course, over our allotted time, but that's okay because it's been awesome conversation. Before we say our farewells, I do want to take a minute to congratulate Ryan Johnston, who was named the 98.5 Bruins radio play-by-play guy. He is, I think he's going to kill it. I was pulling for him, and I'm so glad that he got it. Not sure what's going to happen to the AT&T hockey show because he was the host of that show. Now he'll be a contributor as the radio play-by-play guy. So hopefully 98.5, the Sports Hub, is working on filling the void that will be left by Ryan as a co-host because, in terms of hockey content in this area, in our sports talk radio area of Boston, that was the best.
You're not going for it, Maria?
No.
You're not going to go for it? No?
Gonna go for
your hat in the ring?
Week, Maria, you may as well just stay a little longer than your first call of the day.
I know, right?
You know what? That might be the ticket. Maybe they'll just let me stay on and keep talking.
Why not?
I make the first call.
Well, the next episode is going to be exciting as well. We're going to be reviewing the very start of the season with some other Bruins podcast friends from the network. So we're ringing in the new year. with all of our favorite friends that we've had over the summer before we dive into our usual dynamic duo weekly review episodes. So I can't wait.
Woohoo!
It's hard to believe it's almost here.
It's crazy, but
Almost, yeah.
as always,
Marybeth, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for the content and information. I found it very, very interesting, and I learned a lot from you today. So I appreciate that. Thanks for taking the time.
yeah.
Thanks for
Caroline,
having me.
always a
I'm being a
pleasure.
special guest. That was
Yeah,
fun.
You're
we're
welcome
so excited.
anytime. Yeah, you're welcome anytime.
See, and if you join our Discord and you participate in our fun conversations there, you may find yourself just like Marybeth or Mo or Adrian, and you get to be on the show and talk about Bruins hockey with us. But if you love our show and you want to share it with your friends, make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube if you watch us on YouTube, or give us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts.